Hi, and welcome to Female Entrepreneurs Magazine, your go to platform for ambitious women who are ready to take the business world by storm. I'm your host, Angel France, and each week we'll dive into the latest strategies, stories, and success secrets from the most inspiring female entrepreneurs around the world. Today on The Real Female Entrepreneurs, our next guest is an award winning author, ceremonialist, holistic art practitioner, and a Master of Divinity, along with multiple degrees and certificates. For over 25 years of her experience, she guides visionary women through transformative rites of passage to reclaim their vitality, sovereignty, and also female leadership. Through mentorship, retreats, and sacred spaces, she helps dissolve outdated conditioning. Oh, my word, we all need that. Regulate the nervous system. Again, another thing we all need. And awakening embodied brilliance. Get ready for a soul stirring conversation with the amazing Sharon Ann Rose. Welcome, Sharon. You are like,
Oh, thank you, Angel. Thank you. Thank you. It's an honor to be here.
yeah. So, I mean, I know you have like all kinds of um master degrees and on and on. Are you an anthropologist? Am I right as well?
In my undergraduate, I did study cultural anthropology. And what was so interesting is right away, my interest just pivoted to women in other cultures, and again, that was my overarching undergraduate degree was women's studies. But I was going to go into cultural anthropology because I was so just turned on by studying women, in various situations, various cultures, various backgrounds, especially the fascinating interplay between, and this is 30 years ago that I was in college, this interplay between our projections on what we thought women in other cultures, especially indigenous tribes, our perspective on that, and then what women were actually bringing forward from their own experience. And it just really awakened and humbled me to, again, always seeing, oh, yes, as a white woman, I really do perceive a woman's path, at that time. All women's paths should be how I perceive empowered women should look like. And it really taught me very differently and really brought me right down to the earth of, oh my God, the most important thing for women's empowerment is asking, sweetheart, how can I support you? How can I empower you? What's being empowered to you, not me, you? And that changed everything for me. So,
So, okay. So you went from anthropology and you always had like a woman study interest, correct?
yep.
But what brought you, because you could have did lots of things here. What brought you to the entrepreneurial world?
Yeah. So one, if you have an astrology background, I have so many planets in Aries. So I have to do my own thing. I've got to just start and also be a trailblazer into pathways and areas that I don't feel like people have really looked at before. And so that's what I was doing. And I also have that real inner drive to kind of study myself. And I don't mean that like egotistically. I mean that like I want to study myself so that one, I really understand how I'm coming at things. But two, I'm imagining then that we all share some commonalities. And so that's what I would do. And, one of the biggest moments actually, I was working it was after college, I had graduated and I began just really serving a lot of underserved women in underserved conditions, women in prison, domestic violence shelters, teen mamas who were like 14 years old with a baby on their hip, waking up at 4 a.m. to get on the subway and take their babe, you know what I mean, to the daycare center and then them to get to high school. So again, really just like heart wrenching, also incredibly awakening and inspiring conditions that women who were not served well were still finding their way through and, really working to to make their situations better. And I
Wow.
became pregnant unexpectedly and was like, oh my God, I really need to study what happens for a woman when she becomes pregnant. And I didn't just mean pregnant to a baby, I meant pregnant with life. And I wanted to know, like, how does a woman carry life forward and what happens to her and what changes? What does she come up against? What are the, all the intense old mindsets and constructs that she's got to dismantle? And then I just began creating my business out of this deeper discovery, research, and exploration.
And is that exactly what you do? You help dismantle things in our brain that are stopping us to go forward? Is Tell us
Yeah,
exactly
that's a
what you
good
do.
way of putting it. Yes. So I combine, because of my background and experience, and then what I can intuitively pick up on, I'm working one with the relationship between brain and body. And so our brain is often doing one thing, and our body is often doing something different. And so, how do we work to really forge a healthy, loving relationship between those two? And so, I'm the one who comes in because I can sit in any uncomfortable, dark space and just sit there and breathe. And so, for most people, humans and women especially, like once their body, when they're in an uncomfortable place, whether it be because they're thinking, a very heavy thought or a doubting thought, self-doubt, etc., or they're coming up against past trauma in their system, one of the core things is, let us slow down and really make space to feel this. And then when we do that, it then gives different chemicals into our brain and transmits new information like, guess what? You can be safe here. And then you can think differently and you can guide your thoughts differently and your actions differently from a very calm, centered, and also, it's a motherly, it's a nurturing, but also really kind of authoritative in the healthiest of way of like, I've got you. I've got you, body. Like, I'm not going to abandon you. I'm not going to leave you. I'm also not going to let you believe those incredibly, critical, et cetera, thoughts anymore. So we're working with that whole, relationship with that whole axis of brain to body and then body back to brain.
And how do you transport that? Do you do one-on-ones? Do you do groups? I know you do retreats as well. So can you tell us how that works?
Yeah. So I do it in many different forms. And for women, it depends. How deep do you want to go? So if you want to go and dive right into the deep waters, one on one is the way to go. And I do a really deep 7.5 month, it's like a 30 week process, a mentorship where it's all intuitive, it's all personally curated, and it also moves through shared themes that all women are going to go through: grief, anger and rage, moving into truly emptying out, like emptying out and letting go of everything in your life that has not served you and cannot be the container you walk forward with. You got to clean out. And then being in that, very fertile, gorgeous, but can be confusing kind of empty space where that's when new vitality comes in, and then discernment for how you're going to create, what you're going to create from this beautiful new anchor inside of you. So that's, my one-on-one work. Then I also work in sisterhood with groups of women, whether it's through in-person workshops, weekend events, courses, classes online. I previously had a long time sisterhood mentorship kind of community program that was gorgeous. And then I also do retreats. So I do retreats across the country and also internationally. And that's, different themes. So it might be about a different theme, or it might be coming at it through a specific kind of hot topic that might be going on in our culture, or for women in general, and coming at that. And I also collaborate a lot with other women where we're sharing and doing.
And I love the fact you keep bringing up the fertility of things and how not just giving birth, but giving birth physically, but giving birth on lots of positions, like giving birth on a new project or giving birth on a new business or giving birth on a new relationship. That's all giving birth. Am I right?
Yes. And as women, we also then get to rebirth. So there's these junctures. So I really work with women at the transitions in their lives because they're so potent with what you just said. They're so potent with fertility. And when you realize, and so I'm often called a midwife, like a soul midwife. And when you realize like these moments, oh my God, you are being initiated into a whole nother face, a whole nother part of yourself. And you can take that then into your project. It could even be an old project that you then reinvent because you're reinventing yourself. It can be into a long time relationship where you're like, dang, has this gotten stagnant? And then you bring this capacity you have to rebirth simply because you are a female body who can go through this process. And then you bring those, incredible bits of wisdom into, for example, a really long time marriage. And it suddenly becomes robust again because you're feeding, that fertility, and you learn how to do it in a really sacred, deep internal way.
And the other thing about you that I've noticed is you're extremely intuitive. Like if I feel like you could just look at somebody and go, okay, this is about what needs to happen. Let's communicate a little bit more and move forward from there.
Yeah. So I have this one dear, sweet, very long time client. And she always says, how do you do that? You literally know my desire under my deeper desire. Like, the prayer that's under my prayer that I actually just said, but that wasn't even my prayer. And so it's that capacity that we all have to sit and then drop in deeper and realize, yes, there's the surface of things, but there is a multitude of sweet little critters or whatever, bacteria, etc. Really healthy, gorgeous ideas, thoughts, dreams, visions, aspects of us, and deeper truths. And, in my experience, we cannot get to the deeper truth unless we're willing to sit with ourselves. And we are not taught how to do that.
No, we're not. We're not. And I mean, I'm one. I have trouble. I'm always go, 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 go. And that's one of the things that you teach is how to take the time.
Yeah. And be with yourself, and then realize it's okay if you go, holy crap, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, that's actually okay. And you can't get to your deeper want, knowing, and truth until you sit with the fact that you don't know it, because we can keep making stuff up, but it's only gonna keep in a repetitive pattern at a certain place. And if we want to have a deeper truth, we actually have to sit, go through a bit of discomfort to get to the deeper honesty of where and who we are now.
So here's like one of my philosophies. I have people that go, oh, I'm just moving from this house because this keeps happening, this keeps happening, this keeps happening. And I'm like, it's probably going to follow you. If you have a roof leak now, if you're not going to get it fixed, there's a chance the next house is going to have a roof leak. I don't care if it's brand new.
Yeah. And that's so symbolic, isn't it? Like, I love this because we can apply it to how we show up in our business, how we are with our clients, how we are with money, how we are with really taking that next step in our business, how we are in our partnerships, marriages, how, we are with our colleagues. And I think it's an and both, so for example, yes, if you keep finding these repetitive patterns and no matter what you try to do, they don't go away. It's that little whisper, come on, honey, like, take a look. It's actually inside of you, so there's that. Then we also get to a place where it's like, heck no, I have done that. And it's time for me just to move and go to a house where the roof is fixed, so it's this and both. And I do believe as human beings, it's really important that we experience both sides of that spectrum, or we're not being honest. Like, if we're always one way, that's probably, there's more to us than that.
Right. I'm just always like, fix it first and then move on.
Yeah, exactly.
Let's fix it first. Okay.
Call the roofer.
All right. Tell me about balance. Is there balance? How do you balance, um, with family, with friends, with business? How do you make it all happen?
Mm. Yeah, so it's an interesting. I think balance is a fascinating idea. And I would say I don't have balance in those realms. Where I have it is I go outside every day and I stand on that earth, you know what I mean? Or I'm doing breath work, I'm doing prayer, I'm doing journaling, I'm doing meditation, etc. Because the only place I can actually be balanced is literally in my own body and how I'm standing. And then what I feel like that really provides an opportunity for is then I'll just greet each day. And sometimes the day feels like it's going sideways and I have to just be a mama that day, because there's 1,000 things going on with my kids. And then it
And
allows me, to not then do the critical, like, dang it, I didn't, return that call to that, whatever, you know what I mean? Or I didn't do the notes I told my client I was going to do, or it just allows a lot more grace where you realize like every day is going to call upon a different part of you. And if and I'll use that example, if you know how to stand on that earth, really grounded and in your own center, then you can graciously, move through and allow that flow to happen. And you were going to
yeah,
say something. What was
and
that?
I love the fact you said flow because I call it the dance. So it's always an ebb and flow. I mean, you might have to give a little bit more one way than another. And that seems to be the grace that people are giving themselves these days. Whereas probably 10 years ago, we beat ourselves up more. At least listening to female entrepreneurs and asking all these questions, that is what I'm getting is they give themselves that grace to know that, hey, we may have to go this way because you've raised 3 children as an entrepreneur. Am I correct? You're married, 3 children as an entrepreneur. So you started quite young and what are their ages and how has it maneuvered through and changed for balance through this time period of,
Yeah. Yeah, so I have 3 boys, ages 26, newly 21, and 13. And it's so interesting when you just said that. I even had the memory when I was younger, like my priority was my kids. But yet I'm a driven woman. So I still had the fire glowing. And I was always, always doing things, just to keep tending that. And whether I was doing a course and sharing that, or writing my book or all kinds of things. And the interesting thing is, I remember at one point when I was starting to work to really pivot more towards full time consciously. And I remember talking with someone, they're like, oh, you really, and I think it was even a coach. And she's like, oh, you were really just doing it as a hobby. You need to change your mindset and realize you were doing it as a hobby and now it needs to become a profession. And though I don't doubt that has some validity, even when I'd heard that little remembrance of that line, that storyline, I was like, dang, no, I was doing both. And now, like you said, that gorgeous theme of grace, it's like, no, I prioritized something then. Now I'm in a different aspect of what I prioritize. And all of these things are so important to me. And yeah, like my 2 older kids got way more of me, homeschooled, like did all the things, urban farm, the whole, kit and caboodle. Youngest got a really different side. I was a midlife woman. I was really coming, differently into my career, really differently into my focus on myself. So I have had to move through a little bit of guilt, especially with that one, as a businesswoman, and then keep coming back more into grace and realizing it's always going to be, you know what I mean? Like you said, this dance, and my children get me. They still get me. Even if I'm doing less like actual time with them, I still love them and I'm showing up for them and I'm showing up for myself. And that's always going to look a little different throughout the cycles and
and
seasons of
maybe
my
and
life.
maybe that 13-year-old didn't need as much attention.
Exactly. Oh, exactly. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
And if you did, he wouldn't be the man he's growing up to be. That's how I always look at things.
Yes.
Yeah. So you just, I love the fact that reality is there's no balance. Come on, guys. We either have one way or another, and we try to work at both of them, but you know, one's going to move forward than the other. It's like a race. Correct?
Yes. Yeah. And sometimes you're over here being like, wait up for me, and then, yeah. And then it comes back around and all is good. And again, that word, grace, so much grace. So,
What advice do you give for women that are maybe thinking about starting their own business, or they've been in business for a minute, yet they're like, I need to move forward, but I'm just not there yet?
mhm, mhm. My advice is keep tending that seed, because in that seed, in that dream, there is something that requires sun, rain, our beautiful fertilization of the soil and turning it over. So no matter how much we do, just do something to keep tending that dream and know it's going to build. And if you don't feel ready now, definitely don't sit there and criticize yourself and think, I should be ready. Know that you will be. Like, you will feel it when you just keep tending an aspect of it. And, back in the day, I did jump all in because of my personality. And something I would say now is, you don't have to, do you know what I mean? Do the drastic leap. You can, if you feel it, don't hold yourself back, but be true. Like, just be really true to yourself. And one of the biggest things is there's so many methodologies now and so many different ways people are saying start your business or do the feminine way and approach, and all really lovely and beautiful, but you have to be true to you. And if you start with that, you will not go wrong, because you'll keep being honest, and you'll keep knowing how to, like, oh, I want to stretch. I want to do even more. Like, I'm going to start a podcast now. Or you'll be like, nope, not ready yet. So you know what? I'm going to write a newsletter. And when you're true to you, that just becomes clear and you can feel it and be sincere to that.
So what you're saying just relates back to what you said a minute ago about you started something, but somebody said it was like a hobby. It wasn't. And you were tending, you were nurturing it. So yeah, you're starting your business, and it might not look the same way 10 years from now than what it will look like. It might look different.
Yeah, I've been recently working with a lot of women over the past few years in their 70s and like 75, etc. And I can
Mhm.
see this whole second rebirth. You got your midlife and menopause is one massive rebirth. But then in your 70s and 80s, you have another one. So it's coming for all of us. And what they're showing me again is that even deeper honesty of, like, I don't want a full-time career. So it's a fascinating thing what we think when we say, I'm going to start my own business. If we can be very honest right from the start of what that looks like and feels like, and not just assume, that it's going to look this certain way of whatever we think full time is, or I don't even know,
What that is.
then we can just be like, great, I'm going to keep, working towards this, even if it means, oh, my business is I write a newsletter. Like, that's my business. Or my business is I work with, so many clients, or whatever it is. And that we just keep going with that.
So knowing what you know now, what would you go back and tell your 18-year-old self about business?
I would tell her she's so feisty and gorgeous, so gorgeous, and not to, no matter what anyone says, like, don't turn your back on her. Like, don't turn your own back on yourself. And, especially so, for example, for me, I was really doing a lot of this feminine wisdom before it was more in the mainstream. And so it's kind of uncomfortable. It was a little edgy. And I always felt like I was not, do you know what I mean? Not understood. People are like, what do you do? And I ended up starting to do a lot of explaining. So I would just tell her, You got it. You got it, girl. Just be true to you. Do not override yourself, and definitely don't desert those dreams. Like, hold them close and let them be a seed. Don't try to go from seed to legacy. Like, really enjoy that path along the way, and never, ever, ever presume a single thing you do is a failure.
And that is so true. So 20 years ago, I wanted to do this magazine and I was told, oh no, that's not a good idea, blah, 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 blah. 10 years, I brought it back up again. So what I did was I got the name. So I've had the name Female Entrepreneurs Magazine for 10 years. And so I literally, I got asked, what do you really want to do? And I said, I want to, you Angel, you've done this, and this. What do you really want to do? I said, I really want to have a magazine. And literally that's what happened within 5 weeks. I built it, created it, and that's it. But all those other things had to happen.
Yes.
I was
Yeah.
tending.
Yeah. I know. I love that you love that word.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that question. What do you really want to do? And it's actually a practice I often do with clients where they'll say something and I'll say, what's actually under that? And they'll say something else. And I'll go, what's actually under that? We keep going. And like you said, you get to this. I wanted to do this all along. It hasn't changed. I want to do a magazine, and it's often the thing we knew back at 18 we wanted to do.
Mhm. It just wasn't the right timing. I had to go through life.
Yeah, and enjoy it. Like, just, I think, you know, I can be a very driven, serious woman. And so I took myself very seriously. And now I've learned, whoa, have I gone through plenty to know, like, no, enjoy it. Have pleasure every step of the way. Like,
Yeah.
do not let this jade you. Just don't.
So, what strategy have you taken in your business that actually helped advance your career? Sometimes it's things that people said, like we just said, don't do that. That's not going to work, but you did it anyway.
Yeah. So the interesting thing is, back in the day, I had so much energy and I would just generate and generate and generate. So I was writing courses, I was writing material, content, writing a book, doing all these things. And people would look at me and be like, whoa, are you completing anything? I'm like, yeah, I'm completing it. But I didn't know at the time, like, I wasn't taking that maybe to its fullest. Getting an agent for my book or getting support with publicity, like those kinds of things. But I did complete it. And so the greatest leveraging that happened is when I have and had the energy and I had the inspiration, I did something with it.
Mhm.
And I keep coming back to it. And so this year I'm going to be relaunching my first book that I did. And it feels so good because I'm in such a different place with a different, professional foundation under me, different kind of resourcing, different level of connections, and I'm going to have support. And so I think it's that gorgeous place of when you feel something, go for it and do not worry. Do you know what I mean? It will continue to kind of come in, and I'm doing this of like, it will leverage itself and you'll keep going and it will just grow because that's what nature intends with a seed. It's going to grow and you keep showing up for it and saying, yes, I'll help you do that next layer of blossoming and that next one and that next one. So trusting it, like when you have it, go for it and then come back to it always because there's more in it to blossom and flourish.
So, beside the book coming out again, yay, what other future plans or goals do you have? And do you mind sharing things we should be on the lookout for?
Sure, I'm delighted to. So, speaking about that period in my life, I had so much generativity and fertility. Um, I wrote and shared with my community, like within my small community, all these different courses, and I used to do a lot of like community calls and all kinds of things. So those are all coming out this year as courses. So I've gone back to them. I'm updating them. They're going on some beautiful colleagues' platforms of really fun, like women's empowerment universities and things online. And so those digital courses will now be available this year in so many great topics, all really focused on women's empowerment and leadership, because this is the year we need every one of us. Like I always say, all hearts on deck. Let's go. We need us.
I love that. All right. If you had a superpower for just one day, 24 hours, what would it be?
So, it feels like to me, because I'm always someone, I just want to go to the root of things. I just want to go to the source. So I just want to go sit in the lap of the source of life itself, the source of, universal intelligence for a day, and just let all of it come into me. And then I want to just write it, like just write and scribe everything that I received from higher intelligence.
Wow.
That's my superpower.
Wow. That is a massive superpower. All right.
Yeah.
Do we have one fun fact about you that not a lot of people know about?
Yeah, unless you know me like in person here in Portland, Oregon, I've raised chickens for over 20 years and I love them so much. Like me and my little chicken babies are just, so fun. So,
That is so cute. All right. I have a nephew that actually raised some, but that got over with, I think, when, his life got on. All right. Favorite book?
So I love children's books. Since I was a mama, I was always reading children's books and going, oh my God, I love this book for me. And it's usually books that are fables or fairy tales. And there was one I came across many, many years ago called Old Turtle by Douglas Wood. And I remember just weeping. And again, it's so much about just that elder wisdom, like that ancient wisdom that doesn't ever change. And, it's about all of us being connected and about simplicity, just that really gorgeous simplicity. Yeah. So Old Turtle is one of my faves.
Oh, I need to read it. I never read it. All right. What about songs? Do you have some favorite songs?
Yeah, so you can only imagine, like, I love those, just the ones that move me and make me cry and, really open something in my heart, and ones that I'm, you know what I mean? Like I'm doing this thing where I'm just like giving up my hands, over. And so there's several. And one of them is from Isla Nerio. It's called Seeds is a really good one, but all of hers is so great. Whispers is a really beautiful one. And then there's another artist called Paya, and it's We Are Blessed, or something of that nature. And again, it's just this gorgeous, it's lyrical, but it's, when I say haunting, I don't mean that in a bad way. It's that kind of like call from your ancient self is the best way to say it, like whispering and reminding you of who you are.
So a friend of mine's husband runs the ZMR Awards, which is, it's music that is a mystical type of music that is really, it's gorgeous. So
Yeah, sounds like I'd love it.
yeah, lots of instrumental music. It's a lot of meditation music and stuff like that. It's gorgeous music. Oh my God. So, all right. The other thing is a favorite quote.
So this quote has haunted me. I can't even remember the story of how I came across it. I do remember I was pregnant. I think it was with my second son. And this quote is from, I always pronounce his name wrong, but he's a German philosopher called Friedrich Nietzsche. Nietzsche. And he said, we must have chaos inside. One must have chaos inside oneself in order to give birth to a dancing star. And I remember, like, at the time, I think I was going through like all the hormonal stuff and was just feeling truly crazy, and I remember that just dropped in, that quote, and I have carried that forever, because yes, it can be when we feel off balance or off center, but it also reminds me, like, don't even fret about not feeling like you fit in or you have it all together. It's like, allow the chaos to literally, do the dance through you, because that's what births stars. That's what births our beautiful cosmos and galaxy. So be wild, crazy, and chaotic.
And it goes back to the same thing we were saying, that you have to go through those struggles to be the person you are today. And I mean, it all aligns perfectly. What is the best way for our audience to stay connected with you? Because they're all going to want to love up on you, I can tell.
Oh, please do. I would love that. And I'd love to love up on them. Website, SharonAnnRose.com. And you can find me, Sharon Ann Rose, on Instagram, through Linktree, Alignable, LinkedIn, SoundCloud. There's also a lot of really great free resources on SoundCloud, audio ones, as well as on my website under my media channel, where you can find other podcasts that I've done, articles, and wonderful audio recordings.
Awesome. And is there anything else you want to share with our audience that we didn't talk about yet?
Oh, please, in these times, really enjoy savoring like these pauses, these breaths, these opportunities just to get still and ask ourselves that question, like, what do you really want? Because we really need that example of women doing what they really want. Not what they think they have to do, but what they really want.
Yeah. Oh, Sharon, you are amazing. Thank you for being here. I can't wait to see you inside the magazine. You're going to be perfect. Mwah.
Thank you, dear.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of Female Entrepreneurs Magazine. I hope you found inspiration, actionable tips, and a sense of connection with our incredible community of driven women. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and share the episode with fellow entrepreneurs who are ready to elevate their game. Remember, your success is just the beginning, and we're here to support you in every step of the way. Until next time, keep shining, keep thriving, and remember, you have the power to create the business and life of your dreams. Stay inspired, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.